Hello everyone, it's me again, Joseph, your host, and welcome back to our channel, where we hear fascinating stories about our saints. Today, on January 8th, we celebrate the feast day of a remarkable saint who reminds us that true greatness comes not from wealth or power, but from a heart completely given to God. We're talking about Saint Lawrence Giustiniani, the first Patriarch of Venice. His life offers a powerful lesson on humility, service, and unwavering faith, especially for those in leadership. So, who was this man who turned his back on a life of nobility to embrace poverty and prayer? Lawrence Giustiniani was born in Venice back in 1381. He came from one of the city's most important and wealthy families. Naturally, his family had big plans for him. They envisioned a successful political career, a prestigious marriage, and a life of influence. But even as a young man, Lawrence felt a pull towards something different. The glamour of the world didn't interest him. He preferred quiet moments of prayer and reflection. As he grew older, the pressure to follow the expected path mounted, but a profound spiritual experience changed everything. Around the age of 19, he had a vision that solidified his calling. He realized that his heart's deepest desire was to serve God alone. Making a radical decision, Lawrence renounced his inheritance, turned his back on the life of a nobleman, and sought a community dedicated to a simpler, more prayerful existence. This was a huge shock to his family and friends, but for Lawrence, it was the only path to true peace. He had found his treasure, and it wasn't gold or status, but a relationship with God. He joined a community called the Canons Regular of St. George in Alga. This was a group of men committed to living a life of simplicity, prayer, and apostolic work. They followed a strict rule, and for Lawrence, it was exactly what he was looking for. He embraced a life of poverty, spending long hours in prayer and fasting. He didn't just talk about holiness, he lived it. He was often found visiting the sick, comforting the sorrowful, and giving what little he had to the poor. His gentle spirit was matched by a firm conviction about the importance of living a life dedicated to God. His deep faith and genuine kindness did not go unnoticed. The other men in his community saw his sincerity and wisdom, and soon they chose him as their leader. He led not by issuing commands, but by his own humble example. His reputation for holiness grew, and people from all over Venice, not just from within his community, began seeking him out for spiritual guidance and prayers. He became a beacon of light in a time when the church was facing many challenges and needed authentic witnesses to the gospel. In 1433, his life took another unexpected turn. He was appointed the Bishop of Castello, a district within Venice. True to his humble nature, Lawrence felt he was unworthy of such a high office. He initially refused, believing he wasn't good enough for the role. But in a spirit of obedience, he eventually accepted the responsibility placed upon him by the church. As bishop, he didn't seclude himself in a palace. Instead, he got to work. His primary focus was reforming the clergy. He urged priests to live lives of integrity, to be dedicated to prayer, and to teach their flocks with love and truth. He never lost his heart for the poor and the marginalized. As a bishop, he continued to live simply and made sure the church's resources were used to care for the sick, the hungry, and the forgotten. He was a true shepherd who knew his sheep and cared for them deeply. Then, in 1451, a major change occurred. The Pope united the Diocese of Castello with the city of Venice, creating the new Patriarchate of Venice. And Lawrence Giustiniani was named its very first patriarch. This was an even greater position of authority, but it didn't change him one bit. As patriarch, he remained the same humble, prayerful man he had always been. He continued his work of reform, preaching with passion and love. He constantly called the people of Venice back to a life of faith and devotion. He was a peacemaker, respected by city leaders for his integrity and his tireless efforts to bring harmony. The people of Venice loved him, not because of his title, but because they saw in him the genuine love of Christ. He showed them that true leadership is rooted in service, not in power. But St. Lawrence wasn't just a leader of action. He was also a man of deep thought and a gifted writer. He left behind a collection of sermons and letters that give us a beautiful glimpse into his spiritual life. A central theme in his writings is humility. He taught that becoming small in our own eyes is the path to true greatness in God's eyes. He wrote extensively about love, calling it the greatest of all virtues and the very heart of the Christian life. His writing style was simple and direct. He wanted his message to be understood by everyone, from the most educated scholar to the simplest layperson. He wanted all to know the depth of God's love and mercy. One of his most powerful teachings was about trusting God, especially during difficult times. He encouraged people not to fear suffering or trials, but to cling to Jesus and have confidence in his loving care. His words are not just historical artifacts. They are timeless wisdom that can still guide and inspire us today. They remind us that holiness isn't about achieving a state of perfection, but about the daily loving effort to follow God with our whole heart. Saint Lawrence Giustiniani passed away on January 8, 1456. At the age of 74, he had lived a long life completely dedicated to God and to the people he was called to serve. His legacy of holiness and humble leadership endured, and in 1690, the Church officially recognized his sanctity when Pope Alexander VIII canonized him as a saint. Today, he is honored as the patron saint of Venice, a protector of the city he loved and served so faithfully. He is also a patron for clergy and religious leaders, a perfect model for anyone in a position of authority. So what can we learn from his life today? The most striking lesson is his choice of God over the world. Born into privilege, he could have had anything the world offered: wealth, fame, power. But he saw that these things were fleeting. He chose the lasting treasure of a life with God. His example challenges us to look at our own lives. What are the things we chase after? Are they things that will last, or are they temporary comforts that distract us from our true purpose? Saint Lawrence shows us that true greatness is found in humble service. Even as a bishop and patriarch, he never stopped caring for the poor and the sick. He reminds us that our faith must be active. It's not enough to just believe. We must put that belief into action by loving and serving the people around us, especially those who are most in need. How can you serve others in small ways today? It could be a kind word, a listening ear, or a simple act of charity. Finally, his life is a testament to the power of trust. In his writings, he constantly points us back to God's loving providence. He teaches us not to be afraid when life is hard, but to turn to God with the confidence of a child. When you face challenges, do you try to handle everything on your own, or do you turn to God in prayer, trusting that he is with you? The life of Saint Lawrence Giustiniani is a beautiful roadmap for a life of purpose and faith. He proves that you don't need fame or fortune to make a difference. All you need is a heart full of love for God and a willingness to serve others. His story is a powerful reminder that simple, faithful choices made every single day can truly change the world. Thank you so much for joining me to learn about this incredible saint. If his life inspired you, please consider liking and sharing this video and subscribing to our channel for more stories of faith. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. How does St. Lawrence's example speak to you? Take care, everyone. Stay healthy and hungry for holiness. See you next time, and God bless you always.